I have been in rehab for 3 weeks from all the anger meds I deep-throated after our last review. But I can certainly say it goes up from here. Hopefully. I prayed to parking lot, Jesus it does, but yeah, we're nearing the end of the revisit. But before I could tackle the rest, and without any further delay, because I'm a lazy dickhead who just wants to get a move on, this is Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus.
Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the Ratchet and Clank revisit. For our final stop in the PS3 era of the franchise, it's Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus. Into the Nexus, known in European regions as just Nexus. I want to make fun of the European, but one of their countries just lost their bag of old. It's a 3D platformer and a third-person shooter, released on November 12th, 2013 for the PlayStation 3. Just 3 days away from the launch of the PlayStation 4. Great, now I feel like a bag of old. It's meant to serve as an epilogue to the future series, but later, as you will see, it follows up on the previous 2 games. Fun fact, this game's original title was going to be Into the Nether regions.
Good night, everybody!
Obvious sexual innuendo aside, I was really excited when this game was first announced back in June of 2013, and after watching a few other videos talking about the game, where some say it was going in a more haunted themed direction, and I do believe that 2013 was the start of my love of the horror genre, so it's like the planets all aligned for me to be excited for this. But almost 9 years later, can I still say that I like this? Well, let me answer that with a question. Is this game any good, and is it one I can recommend to you? Well, looks like we're going into the Nexus to find out, Jimbo. So the game opens up with Ratchet and Clank repairing a massive prison ship called the Nebula 7, and during their repair, our heroes get a call from the returning Talwyn. I haven't seen her since Quest for Stupid Sexy Flanders, but sadly, Talwyn isn't voiced by Tara Strong. Guess she's too busy providing her voice for MLP and Teen Titans piece of shit! Instead, Talwyn is voiced by Ali Hillis, aka the voice of Rigby's mother in the regular show movie, Lightning in Final Fantasy XIII, and Palutena in Kid Icarus Uprising. Well, that explains why she doesn't do much. Still not as attractive as the goddess, though.
Nothing at all! Nothing at all! Nothing at all!
Anyways, our heroes, plus the returning Kronk Zephyr, are escorting one of the 2 Prague twins, Vendra, voiced by Nika Fuderman, who is also known as Styx, as in the crazy conspiracy-driven badger from the Sonic Boom series.
That's right! I'm onto you, buddy!
Outside of the obvious numerous Sonic jokes I can make, cause for some reason these 2 franchises always intersect in these reviews, she is also the voice of Nyx in Infamous 2, Megara in God of War Ascension, and Nima Cruz from Chris Pratt, professional raptor trainer of the game.
It's me, Mario.
Anyways, Vendra is being escorted to serve a quintuple life sentence. So let's see here, if the average human lifespan is roughly 50 multiplied that by 5 is 250 years! This bitch Barrett did something bad to earn 250 years in jail! Otherwise, the police are just as useful in space as they are on Earth. Then again, we've seen what their politics are like. While Vendra is being prepped, she uses her Silver the Hedgehog, psychic powers to disable the ship's power, putting the crew's survival at risk. Now, even though Ratchet was able to repair the damages, a small army of the returning Thugs for Less from Going Commando show up, being led by Vendra's brother Neptune, voiced by Fred Tatasciore, best known as Ripjaws and Cannibal from Ben 10. The Thugs rig the Nebulox with explosives, which explode, killing Kronk and Zephyr. They die, and we see it on screen. What was this game rated again? E10? E10 plus my ass, game!
Extremely big shit.
Ratchet and Clank do manage to escape and land on planet Yurik in the Zarkov sector. Ratchet informs Talon about this and urges the two to go back to Meridian City, since I guess at this point she considers Ratchet and Clank as family, which on one hand, stand back, I think I'm gonna die from wholesome! But on the other hand, damn Ratchet, you got friend-zoned hard. Oh wait, according to the Ratchet & Clank fandom wiki, it states that Talon is Ratchet's girlfriend. My point still stands about using external media for added detail. If I have to use it, then it doesn't count. Especially if it's Wikipedia. Or at least a version of it. But instead of going back to Meridian City, Ratchet and Clank investigate the Prog siblings' activities on Yurik. Later on, we meet a Terracnoid named Pollux, who once worked with Dr. Nefarious. How will we know that this geek won't just stab us in the back knowing this? Pollux reveals that the Progs kidnapped him for his research on the NETHERVERSE, an alternate world inhabited by a race of demonic entities known as the Nethers. Hello, is this Devil May Cry? I think I have a Lombax in a talking backpack that might need some help killing demons. What do you mean you don't do otherworldly orders? When reaching Miro Orphanage, where the Progs lived as children, the duo came across Vendra's communication with the Nether leader, who she calls Mr. I. That has gotta be the least intimidating name of a villain ever in the franchise, and this is after the previous game where we had Discount Syndrome. Why not name him something more demonic? Like Mara. It's stated that the Nethers are basically demonic creatures, so why not give their leader one of the many other names for the devil? I mean, Netflix could do it just fine.
Big D, Big D, it is a pleasure to watch you in action. Nobody works a room like you.
Are you still here?
After our duo is discovered, they make a quick escape with the aid of Quark, who brought along their ship Aphelion, and after getting a jetpack upgrade for Clank on the battle arena planet Crag, where a tournament organized by the thugs are being held, we make our way to Weeblesnog City, the capital city of the planet Psylocke. TMNT called they want their dark future back. Which one?
Leo! Leo!
It's here where we fight and defeat Neptune, but Vendra manages to bring the Nethers and Mr. I outside the Netherverse, where it's revealed that Mr. I basically has been manipulating Vendra this whole time before banishing her to the Netherverse, Jimbo. After getting a pair of hover boots from the... once again, returning smuggler, for God's sake. How do these two keep running into discount new Tumblr sexy man? These are words that just came out of my mouth. Jesus Christ, 2022.
It's funny because it's a meme.
Ratchet and Clank team up with Neptune to get the Nethers and Mr. I back to their dimension and save Vendra. It's revealed that the Dimensionator that the Progs used was modeled after the original, which is currently in the Intergalactic History Museum on planet Igliak, where Ratchet agrees to help Neptune on the condition that after this the Progs turn themselves in. Now after getting the Dimensionator and fighting off the Nether Brutes, the duo engage Mr. I before Neptune gets Clank into the Netherverse so that Ratchet can handle Mr. I one-on-one. Combining both Vendra's power and the power of the Dimensionator, Mr. I and the Nethers are banished once and for all before Neptune turns himself and Vendra in towards the galactic authorities. Yay, prison!
I'm going back to jail.
After lamenting over the fact that the Dimensionator is now broken, and just as the two are leaving the museum, Clank takes possession of the device to repair it in hopes of him and Ratchet finding the Lombaxes, even though Ratchet has no desire to leave Talwyn. But wait, there's more! In a Marvel-style end credit scene, it sees Kronk and Zephyr in ghost robot form, in front of their own display in the museum just getting Wait a minute. Oh! That does happen this time. Okay. There the two exchange insults before leaving, ending Into the Nexus. And that was the plot. And wow, after the slogs that were all for one, and especially Assault, this was a pretty solid story. The story itself did build up on what the previous games left, and the new villains in the form of Neptune for the first half of the game and Vendra are pretty good since I don't recall ever seeing a villainous sibling duo before. But of course, this story isn't without its faults, such as the obvious twist villain.
I guess this makes Zero a twist villain!
Mr. I is quite possibly the most obvious twist villain ever in the franchise, even more than Salty Chef Boyardee from Delicious Last Anarchy. And they weren't even trying to hide how obvious this literal transparent character is. I also feel like the Netherverse could have been better explored, and maybe even give us a chance to explore what the Nethers are. Maybe also explore more about the progs, because I am certainly way more interested in these two than Nintendo fanboys saying how Nintendo should revive the dead franchise that is Captain Mordecai. Now as for Vendra and Neptune themselves, like I said, I like them. I also like the twist trope of instead of being all brawn no brains, Neptune actually dedicated some points into intelligence and is actually a brawn with some intelligence. See, modern cartoons? You can have a character be muscles but also smart. Boom, muscle, and god damn it, that's another Sonic joke. At this point, I might as well just do a Sonic marathon next. Don't make me do that. I'm not playing all those games. I'm leaving that to Chari 5. Anyways, before I drag on any longer, let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay of Into the Nexus has us in control of both Ratchet and Clank, and name of the game in Ratchet's case is the same usual song and dance. Platform, shoot, use an oversized wrench, etc, 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 etc. The only new things to Ratchet's core gameplay are the grav tether we get from Planet Eric and the jetpack from Planet Crag. For the grav tether, it helps us traverse certain planets as long as these grav targets are around. And as for the jetpack, it's also very simple. Okay, why is it that the more this franchise goes on, the more simple the gimmicks get for Ratchet? It's like having one button to complete the whole game. Isn't that right, Sonic's creators' failed project battle on Wonderworld? Nailed it. As for Clank's gameplay, it goes for a 2.5D perspective in the Netherverse. If you ever played the hit indie game, this should look familiar. Using the D-pad, we could change how Clank's gravity behaves. There are still puzzles involved, but unlike in the Crack in Time, we don't get to have the option to skip these, even on replay. So that's fun! As for the new Rhino, this time the Rhino 7, the way we get it is like in Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time, where we collect holoplanes, but instead of bringing them to the smuggler, we bring them to the plumber. This Rhino actually doesn't suck. Much like the Rhino 5, it also plays a bit of classical music, this time Night on Bald Mountain. I will play a snippet, but I don't want Disney choking me like I'm Bart. Returning from Tools of Destruction is the Raritanium upgrade tree. The only notable change is that we can get multiple upgrades at once until we're out of Raritanium, and need to come back when we're a little richer. Now as for the stuff itself, it's not as common as it was back in Tools of Destruction, so I say it's pretty balanced. What? Do you want me to make another bad attempt at comedy? Who do you think I am? 12-year-olds who can't make good comebacks just because they lost to a low tier as an unbalanced damn it! Returning as per usual are the gold bolts. They behave much like how they did all the way back in the first game, where we can make our weapons gold! Let's do it, baby! Grind till our weapons have shiny models for no reason!
You've earned the No Life trophy. Worth it.
With, of course, the Omega Rhino 7 costing the most, because it's the fucking Omega Rhino 7, no duh! Now I usually don't talk about the bosses in these, because they could just be boiled down to shoot the boss,
but they're not gonna laugh anymore.
Fight the goons. Seriously, why do bosses think sending out their lesser minions will help?
So it's only fair that we all pitch in and clean it up together. Still, I propose we make Zoidbug do it.
And rinse and repeat, but the fight with Mr. I is honestly a pretty good final boss. Certainly a lot better than the previous two. I mean, it's not hard to top. But it's mostly because even in the late game, the Nether still put up a decent resistance against your arsenal, minus the Rhino. Another solid one would be Neptune, because you actually get to see what he is capable of, and I say he still has potential in his moveset that Insomniac could have used in the Progbot boss fight. Try saying that 5 times fast, but he did what the odd ones out did on his project of the Berlin Wall.
Control-C, Control-V.
So overall, the gameplay is easily a return to the original style of gameplay from the olden days. My main issue comes from the fact that on repeated playthroughs, you can't skip the Clank sections. Visually, I say this looks pretty solid. The game goes for a mixture of a purple and pink color motif, and I think Insomniac pulled it off great here. Guess we now know where Spinel got her color palette from.
I'm too school staying drugs!
I love how the different kinds of nethers look. Mr. I also looks incredibly grotesque. The nether brutes also look great. Mr. I clearly got his degree from the Invaders Zim school of looking gross but cool.
I'm going to throw up!
Environments are still amazing, especially Meridian City, and for how small Crag is, it's also amazing. Though, in the cutscene where we first met Pollux, it could be just me, but I felt like the game dipped below its locked 30 FPS cap to roughly 27. So, guess the game now sucks for most of you PC players who play at over 9,000 frames per second with PCs that have 9 duodecillion terrafarts. The different armors we can purchase all look amazing. My personal favorite is the pre-ordered Volcanox/Pyronox armor you could get. I don't have it because I was a sad sap who didn't pre-order the game, but the nether armor is especially amazing to look at. Also, we can actually switch between the different kinds of armor. So if you still want to see Ratchet's face, just go to the armor vendor and select the first armor you get. I don't know why you would want to, but you can. The new weapons also look amazing. The nether blades, the Omni Blaster. In all honesty, all the weapons look amazing to look at and use. As for OST, it's also pretty good. If I have to describe it as best as I can, some tracks go for this mysterious tone while other tracks have this orchestral feel to it. So if it were to be both, it would be... Jokes aside, if you listen to the OST yourself, you'll see what I mean. So now, let's recap. The story is pretty great, gameplay is amazing, visually while I felt like it dropped a few frames in one of the cutscenes, it's still great to look at, and OST is pretty good. So here are my closing thoughts. Overall, everyone, Into the Nexus is easily a great step up from the previous two games. The story and especially the writing, while yes is still kind of flawed, is still a great step up. The gameplay returns us to the original form of Ratchet and Clank gameplay. Visually, while yes we're locked to 30 frames per second, I have made it very clear I don't give a hot damn! And the OST is also pretty good. So overall, I give Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus my score of an 8 out of 10. But now, I want to know from you all, did you play Into the Nexus? What did you think of it? And is it something you would recommend to a friend? Leave your answers and more down in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and while you're here, consider subscribing and turn on the bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. Join me next time where we jump from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 in 2016's Ratchet and Clank, the game that is based off of the movie that is also based off of the game. But before I end the video, I would like to say that I'll be taking a detour from the revisit to get some videos out during October. I know you all waited so long for this video to come out, and my co-writer and I deeply apologize. We blame life, and it's also because he has been busy with video projects of his own and college. But I hope you all will enjoy the videos I have planned for October. 2 of them are already done. Until then, you all take care.